Hey guys, Tracy Pelfrey here. Just a few money clips. Tithe or go to hell. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's not in the Bible. They're lying. And no, it really isn't a thing. Further is back tithe. I've shared the story of how I was made to back tithe because I didn't tithe correctly. So you have to pay a back tithe, which incurs some sort of a fee as well. So word to the wise, if you leave NTCC and go back, at some point you're going to have to pay a back tithe. And it's not biblical. It's more evil than the whole tithing or go to hell thing. Maybe they're both equal. I'm not really sure. But they're both wrong. That I'm sure about.
Preachers of today, they're afraid to tell the people, hey, you got to pay tithe or go to hell. It's that simple. As God said it. And if you don't, you're a God robber. You might as well put the gun to God's head and say, I'm going to kill you if you don't give me all your money.
I'm including this clip because it's the spirit of it that applies.
That's a scary thing, though, is that there's a blurred line now, blurred almost to the point of being indistinguishable between pastors and influencers. You know what I mean? Like a pastor used to be, at least where I come from, a pastor used to at least be poor. You know what I mean? When a pastor is poor, they're very easy to believe. Because you see how poor they are, and they're like, oh, you really about that life. Do you know what I mean? It's like a poor pastor is it's like a gang member that has been shot a few times, where you can see the lumps. And you're like, oh, you're really dangerous. Okay. A pastor that's poor makes a more convincing argument. Because even when you try to check their work, you're like, if nothing else, even if they are absolutely out of their mind, they at least believe this because they're willing to dedicate their whole life to, and to it exactly, to it only, right?
This is something I've said many times, is you have not only the nepotism of the legacy here between the founder, Davis, and then his role has been taken over by his son-in-law and daughter. And he lived a wealthy lifestyle. And the Keckles live a very wealthy lifestyle. And they talk about things that they have and that they go and do that no one else can and no one else has. And so what he's saying here resonated with me so well about, he's not saying, oh, if you're poor, I'll believe you as a pastor. No, but it does show the intent of the heart, like you're willing to do that. How many of us that, and still in the organization, there are those people. They're willing because they believe that at least for their part in what they're endeavoring to do, it doesn't matter. No sacrifice is too big. The Keckles have never done that. He can scream over the pulpit all he wants. Tithe or go to hell, tithe or go to hell. I shared the clip of how he said he has 3 jobs and he gets paid for them all, and rightly so. He talks about his new home. He talks about going on cruises. He talks about the kind of cars that he has. He talks about his guitar collection. He's never done what everyone else has done, but he's up there pounding the pulpit about money, and yet that's one of the only times he's ever said it. Why isn't it said every week? Every week they all say the same thing in all the churches, right? It's all Christians pay tithe and gladly give in offerings. If you really believe that what the New Testament says is you have to tithe or go to hell, then why aren't you trying to save souls in that way? It's works-based. It's not true. But if you're going to say you believe that, then why aren't you saying it? And why aren't they saying it in all the churches? Why is that? It's either true or it isn't. It isn't true. What it shows is a non-commitment to this doctrine and a non-commitment from the Keckles, for sure, to what ostensibly they're supposed to be doing. which is reaching the world with the gospel, they talk about rarely, the concern and anguish for souls. I don't even know how often they've gone out and even knocked on a door. Maybe they have. What does it say on Facebook? Pictures or it didn't happen? I'm just teasing. But I'm not teasing about the other stuff. It's serious to put people under this burden of lies.
To whatever mission they feel like God has led them to, they're willing to focus solely on that to the point of being completely removed from the world, right? So any worldly thing doesn't affect them. They have no interest in it. They're only focused on whatever the thing is. Maybe it's helping people. Maybe it's spreading the word. Maybe it's knocking on doors at 6 a.m. or whatever they feel led to do. And then a rich pastor tells, a rich pastor has a more alluring argument. Because a rich pastor rolls up in a Rolls Royce.
And they park in the best parking spot right up front. Of course, that's so biblical. I would love it if someone would just dare to park in their spot. Now, I don't know if they still have the reserve signs up, and then that would be a punk move to do that. But if they didn't have it labeled as reserved for the pastor, for the CEO of the corporation, park there, see what happens.
Front of them, and they're poor to make you rich. And wow, that is ballsy. Maybe you do have God's protection. That's crazy that you're going to do that in their face. And then you tell them what you buy.
That's what Mike does. He tells the congregation he went on a 2-week European cruise to Europe. Well, where else would a European cruise be? Sorry. It's late. I'm tired. He tells them about his nice car. He tells them about the guitar collection. Everybody can see what their house looks like. He talked about buying the new house down in Arizona. All of it. Where's the humility in that? There's none.
Because when the plate is getting passed around, it's so that we can help the poor and that we can spread the word and that we can, sort of build up the church to have things for you as a community. One of the only reasons to have church is for a community. It doesn't even have to be fully like-minded people. It could just be people that you feel like safe and in communion with. And so, yes, sometimes everybody pulls their money together and then they're like, what would be great is a rec center for the kids. And then a church will put all their money into building a building that could be a rec center for the kids so that they don't get in trouble. There are lots of things and ways that churches spend money that I do think are good. And so when I see like a mega church's facilities, I'm not immediately skeptical. It's when I see they're millionaires in your face and they're telling you, I have all this stuff because God bless me.
And this last part is Kinson talking about back tithe that some man foolishly gave him. But worse than the foolishness of that man was that Phil Kinson and New Testament Christian Church took that man's money. They didn't hand it back to him and say, "Brother, what are you doing? Where do you get this idea about back tithe?" Where did he get the idea about back tithe?
No idea who's praying again. Amen. There's a brother here, and he's faithful in the work now, but halfway through COVID, he sent me a text, or he gave me a phone call. He said, I just paid about $8,000 of back tithe. He said, I'm watching online, and God has kicked me good, and I'm right with God again. And he said, I just want to be a part, and now he comes, and he's faithful. Satan is a real liar.
Well, I guess you just called yourself Satan.